Cricket season is well underway now, and Essex have played their first game of the season, a batting-dominated draw, but there was one notable wicket that did feature on the score sheet, and that was the wicket, the debut wicket in red ball cricket, Ben Allison, and we welcome Ben along to 98 Not Out. Ben, how you doing?
Not too bad, thank you, Darren. Not too bad at all. How about yourself?
Yeah, all good, all good. Really excited now the season's up and running, and we're certainly seeing cricket, although we can't get to the grounds as yet. But I don't think that's too far away before we can start getting in dribs and drabs. So all looking hopeful.
Yeah, fingers are crossed. I mean, Chelmsford is obviously one of the smaller grounds around the county circuit, and one thing that when opposition teams do come to Chelmsford is the fact that the crowd are probably on top of you, and that's something that obviously favours us a lot. But no, looking forward to having them back eventually. And then, yeah, as you said, in drabs, but you know, things are looking up.
Tell us about your first wicket.
Well, it was a strange one, really. Like it was on the fourth day, of course, and we went into the fourth day. I reckon we were quite confident because anything can happen at Chelmsford, I guess. But yeah, it happened on that fourth day, and it was a bit not muted celebrations, but from my perspective, it was a massive relief just to get the ball rolling. Obviously, Essex childhood club, as myself and Butters, Will Bartman, have been there since 8 years old. So to get that first one was a big relief, and hopefully there are more to come.
Latest product of the famous academy. Traditionally, it's been batters that have come out of that, but in recent years, it's bowlers, and you being the latest one. What goes on at that academy that produces such great cricketers?
A lot of hard work, I think it's fair to say. Pre-COVID, a lot of training. Obviously, I think the academy boys who are on it now would probably not be able to train as much as they probably want, unfortunately, but hopefully things getting back to normal, that will happen soon. But I mean, since joining the academy, it was 2 to 3 times a week, and not just 2-hour sessions. There'd be 3, 4, 5 hours, and there'd be a session on the weekend. So there's a lot of hard work that goes on into the academy, and behind the scenes, getting facilities. Obviously, the hall got done up about probably 3-4 years ago now. So finding the facilities to be able to train, such as Billericay, it's really important. But yeah, I think the Essex Academy, if you look at the amount of players that come through it, especially the last few years, the likes of Plummy, Aaron Beard, Sam Cook, yeah, it's a credit to them.
You mentioned Sam Cook. He's on fire at the moment, isn't he?
I think he's been on fire for about a good 2 to 3 years. I think that's fair to say. Yeah, he's unbelievable bowler, unbelievably skilled. Reminds me a lot of Glenn McGrath. Call him Glenn, actually. But yeah, reminds me a lot of Glenn McGrath. Just his control, his pace, and just the way he's able to nibble around the pitch and cause absolute havoc for the batsman. He's made a proper impression on everyone, I think. And, I think we're quite lucky and gifted to have the likes of Sam Cook, Jamie Porter, and, in the next month or so, Peter Siddle coming into our team. I think as a county line-up and a county bowling attack, you can't go too far wrong with that. And then Simon Harmer has just been it's exciting times.
I think one of Sam Cook's highlights was when I presented him with Second Player of the Year. He's told me it was a very emotional moment. He was in tears.
How long ago would that have been?
I reckon that was either 2017, 2018.
And start of this, Darren said, first red ball wicket, first championship debut, but your championship debut actually came on loan, didn't it, last year? Or Gloucester?
2019, yeah.
2019, yeah, of course, yeah. How was that as an experience?
I think, luckily enough for me, 2019, I had a very, very good year. I think the amount of wickets I got in twos cricket it was one of my best seasons by far. And I think towards the back end of the season, I was getting in the 14-man squad for Essex. And then luckily enough, Gloucester came knocking on the door and asking for a bowler. And, thankfully I was able to offer my services, I guess you could say. But no, it was a great few days up in Derby. Mind you, it was only for 5 or 6 of them, but I had a really good time. They all embraced me, made me feel like one of their own. And yeah, I think I got 1 first innings and 3 second innings. But the main thing was we were able to get that win. But no, it was a great experience.
Talk about the young players coming through at Essex, and you're right, there's a real crop, and you're all fighting for your places. But there's some oldies that you got dislodged first that don't seem to be going anywhere fast?
I think the oldies are probably the batters. If you look at the likes of Chef, Wes, Tendo, like, I mean, I grew up watching these boys play, you know, and now I'm luckily enough sort of having the chance to get to play with them, which is as a cricket fan and an Essex fan, the sort of dream come true. I remember watching Wes at Colchester, Castle Park, you know, and that's when we would have the cricket week on down there. So to actually be given the opportunity to play with these guys who you've been watching for donkey's years now, like it's an unbelievable feeling. And yeah, to be able to say that I've actually been able to play with Sir Alistair Cook now is something I'll be able to treasure.
Do you ever sort of pinch yourself when you're sitting there in the dressing room, you look across and you think, blimmin' heck, that's Alistair Cook. Alistair Cook is sat there.
Definitely. I think his presence is felt everywhere. I mean, as a person, as a guy, you couldn't. They don't come much nicer than him. Like, he's so down to earth, and he's an absolutely lovely person to speak to. And there's no one to get sort of better advice with, especially from a bowler. Like, to get advice from is from Chef. It is one of those moments so you've got to pinch yourself and just realise like you are living the dream, I guess you could say. And luckily enough, I'm 21. I've still got, well, touch wood, quite a few more years yet to play. So it is just something to reflect back on. Like, you always got to treasure it. Like, I don't think there's anything else I'd rather want to do with my life.
In a few years' time, there'll be 21-year-olds in the same changing room looking across at Ben Allison going, oh, wow, look at it is.
Yeah, let's hope so.
We've been lucky enough on the show to talk to a few people in and around the England setup over the last few months. And one of the things that's been evident is how welcome the sort of the debutants coming into the side have been felt, because they've been part of that environment for such a long period of time. Presumably that's similar in your experience, is it, with Essex?
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I got my first call to do 12th man, and I was actually at Castle Park, and I think that was Napes' last season with Essex. To actually be able to do 12th man and now be able to do it for a while and be in and around the guys and see what they do on a match day and sort of learn from that, and from a bowler's perspective, look at how they go about their business. It's only helped me to get to where I am today. As I said in my interview after the 4 days against Worcester, like, we're such a tight-knit group together. I'm not too sure if there's any tighter groups on the county circuit at all than us. Like, we are genuinely so close. And as I said, if we're not playing cricket together, we're playing golf, and if we're not playing golf, we're doing something else. And it could be just the smallest things, like meeting up with each other and going for a walk. Like, that's how we sort of go about our business outside of the game. And I personally am not one of these people who gets into the gulag, but there's a lot of talk of it.
Because we heard England, it was the thing keeping the England boys going over the winter was a big Call of Duty league.
Yeah, I think the going on now, there's definitely, you get these people who bring their big laptop-looking cases. I mean, this is just my iPad case, but you get them sort of twice the size of that. They've got the PS4, the TV, everything. Like, some of the boys absolutely love it. And there's always some talk in the change room of, who's getting in the gulag tonight. And for me, it's quite funny to listen to, because I'm not into that thing, but just seeing the likes of Matt Quinn just talk about the gulag, like, it is funny. Like, I laugh about it now, but it is very funny just to listen to. But yeah, for myself, I'm not one of them.
Who's the best golfer in the squad?
Michael Pepper. I'm not sure what his handicap is, but I reckon it's 2 or 3. Yeah, I've played a couple of rounds with him, and we were lucky enough, actually, when we won the Champion 2019 and the T20, the sponsors treated us to a weekend away in Portugal. That was, absolutely amazing weekend. Like, we played 2 unbelievable golf courses as well. And the first golf course we played at, I was playing with Paul Walter and Peps and Jeff Dewing, I think, from Cloud FM. And just that trip in general was unbelievable.
Will Bottom's not going to thank you for saying that Pepper's a better golfer than him, is he?
Yeah, you know what? Like, I don't know if you've seen Butters play much golf, Debbie, but I mean, he is a good golfer. But he gives it a lot of that, I reckon, as well. I'll tell you what, I don't know if he's going to be saying much to me after this, but Yeah, it is funny, and he does strike a good golf ball. Give him that. He does strike a good golf ball, and on his day, he is very good. But I think there's a few more practice sessions yet for Butters.
Essex expected to do well again this season. It reminds me of when I was sort of young and watching Essex win everything, and we seem to be back in that groove again. You know, getting a regular thing. What sort of pressure does that put on the players, or do they try and put it to one side?
I mean, that's quite a good question. Like, if you look at sort of our T20 form over the past few years, I think it's safe to say, like, we always, especially when I was growing up, Chelmsford always used to be Fortress Chelmsford. And I think it's important that obviously we try and, this year and going forward, try and make it that. But when it comes to the Champo stuff, we all just feel like we're having fun. And I just think that takes out the element of any pressure at all. As I said, we're 11 mates at the end of the day trying to win a game of cricket. And when we win together, we win together. And when we lose together. And everyone's so close-knit. And I just think when you got a group like that who just enjoy each other's company, you don't really feel the pressure as much because you just end up having a laugh and a joke with people. And I think sometimes that's an amazing way to be able to go about business. But when it comes to obviously the T20, I think definitely, hopefully we can sort of, get Chelmsford back as a fortress again.
You wore an England shirt in the under-19 squad. I guess that your plan is to wear the full England shirt now?
I think at the moment I feel like I'm dreaming to be able to say that I've made my first class debut for Essex. But I think for any bowler in the county game, they've always got to look at trying to play for England, I guess. I think for now, my main concentration is try and get as many games under my belt for Essex. And hopefully in a few years' time, if the chance comes and I'm bowling really well, then that's obviously going to be an unbelievable thing to be able to say back to myself when, you're just watching cricket at home, to be able to say you play for England. But for now, I want to try and make sure I play as many games for Essex as I can.
What are the things that you're looking to push yourself, or what are your own personal targets for this season?
Coming from like the COVID summer, I guess you could call it, last year to sort of be where I am now. Like last year was all about trying to play a few games. This year it's actually trying to push for the case in that first team squad. Like I said, we've got Sid's arriving in a few weeks, and like Port's, Sam Cook. It's going to be hard to get into the squad, but I think if I can just sort of push for my case and make sure I'm in the hunt for selection all the time, I think that's as much as I can do. I think wickets will come. They always do as a bowler. You could bowl amazing one day and pick up nothing, and bowl pretty poorly the next and get a fiver under your belt. That's just the way it goes. That's just sport in general, I think, as well. But I think just for now, as long as I'm picking up wickets here and there, but pushing my case every single time for Mags to sort of pick me up and put me in the squad, I can't do much more than that.
Did you get any feedback after the game last week?
Yeah, I mean, I got good feedback. I think Tommy West was quite happy with me, and I think if I was being overly critical, I think there was probably times where I went quite wide and sort of let the batsman have a free shot. But then again, like adrenaline was going the whole time. Like each time I was bowling, like, you're playing first class cricket, there are cameras on you the whole time. But as I said, the adrenaline was going, and I think as long as I can sort of control mine, sort of at times I was bowling with Harmy. So if Harmy's bowling maidens and I'm going for above fours and over, like I'm not doing my job, So it's quite important to be able to sort of hold up an end. And I think we look at sort of going at a run rate of about just over 2.5 and over. And if you're doing that, then you're doing a relatively good job, especially at Chelmsford, because that pitch last week was very flat. I think you can tell by the scores that it was a batting friendly wicket, I'll call it.
Yeah, nearly 1,000 runs scored in two and a bit innings at the beginning of April. It's unusual for Chelmsford, certainly.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's unheard of, not just at Chelmsford, but probably anywhere in the country. So it was a surprise, but as we sort of have discussed, like when you get those wickets, you got to, find a way, and hopefully we can definitely get Chelmsford as our 4-day competition sort of continue. We can get a few wins under our belt.
Allison Cook aside, who are your cricketing heroes, or even sporting heroes? Who do you aspire to?
Definitely just be looking at the likes of Anderson abroad. Like those records speak for themselves. I don't really look too much beyond cricket in terms of sporting heroes, because I sort of just look at that sort of area specifically. But definitely those two would be my standout heroes, most definitely.
Right, dressing room questions. Who's the messiest in the dressing room?
Well, currently our dressing room is the marquee to the side of the Tom Pearce stand, so that's actually a lot larger than the normal one we're in. So if I was to go for that, you know what, I'd probably say me.
I was going to say you.
Like currently, I've got like 5 pairs of spikes, and we've all got each given a table, you know, social distancing. So, and my table is an absolute disgrace, I believe. Like I'm always looking for any sort of gap to be able to put something on. Yeah, I'd probably have to say me, annoyingly.
Club cricket, as you know, is you have to take your own food now. Is that the same in county?
No, thankfully we've got food at the ground, both breakfast, lunch, and tea when it comes about. So, luckily enough, I'm not having to get my £3 meal deal from Tesco or Deliveroo in. So, quite lucky to say that.
So when you next come back from Brentwood, then we remember to bring a packed lunch.
I'm looking forward to getting my Sainsbury's bag out. I'll tell you that now.
When are you going to get the call from Wes tomorrow, or about tomorrow? Will that come through today? Do you know yet?
Not too sure, actually. I mean, when I got told I was playing against Worcester, that was on the morning of it. But for me, it's like for the remainder of the day, I'll be doing any preparation I can to make sure I'm in the best state to go in tomorrow thinking I'm playing. So I'll be watching the batters from Durham. But hopefully tomorrow morning or even later on, I may, you know, potentially get a call from us to get the nod, which would be lovely.
Do you have any sort of regular pre-match ritual or things you do to sort of get your mind set?
I wouldn't really call them pre-match rituals. Like it'll be very, very similar, like for each day, really. I reckon the only difference will probably be the first day because there'll be the toss-up between teams to know if we're batting or bowling. But it'll be pretty similar for me than it would be for anyone else. Like I'll try and make sure I bowl a few good balls and not get too many under my belt. Also have a good hit. But I think for me, it'll probably mostly start the night before, like making sure you get, you know, your hours kit and making sure that you're ready for the next day ahead. Because especially after experiencing those overs in the field against Worcester, you gotta take care of those of your body. You know, my legs. I don't think I'd ever experience something like that. And I'm not saying hopefully I won't ever again, but hopefully it's a bit of a longer time before I experience that length of time in the field.
38 degrees in Ahmedabad.
Yeah, well, I went to Melbourne 2018 and 19 for five and a half months to play at Carlton Cricket Club, which is like a grade club in Victoria. Absolutely loved it, but I went on a little trip away to Adelaide to play some cricket down there for a couple of days. And I think the schedule was to play a 3-day game and a T20. We played 2 T20s the first day, and then we played a 3-day game. But the 3-day game had to get cut down to 2 because the third day was 48 degrees. However, the day before was 43, and we fielded in that. So I mean, 70 odd overs in the dirt, 43 degrees, 173 overs, and it's freezing cold, and your hands are made of ice. Like you're trying to weigh up your options here.
I know Essex
just get off the pitch quickly as you can.
Well, I know Essex do with bobble hats as part of their in the club shop now, so they're getting good use.
I think the bobble hats get used 365 days a year, to be honest. Even when we're training inside, there'll probably be one person wearing them. I'm not sure if, obviously, I think you're allowed a beanie at first class cricket, because I remember Sid's bowling in that beanie and jumper at Hampshire the year we won it. I remember seeing him wear that, but an actual bobble hat, I'm not too sure. So I think we may have to get a few more beanies in if it's going to be cold. But hopefully the weather's looking up this week, so I think it's crossed.
I think some of the umpires further up north were umpiring in balaclavas last week, so we're a little way off that down here.
Well, Neil Mallender and David Milnes, like they were wearing snoods. Mallender had his gloves on, like it wasn't warm at Chelmsford, I'll tell you that. But there could have been a snowball fight going on at Headingley for all I know. Like I think this time of year, I think as long as we're getting 90 overs in every day, I think that's a win-win. Never mind the weather. It's never going to be warm, is it? But yeah, just got to get on with it.
All right, I think we'll let you get on and go back to doing some preparation. But Ben, many thanks for joining us. It's been really good fun talking to you. Next time we get you back, we'll have loads of exploits to talk about and loads of success. So all the best and many thanks.
Fingers crossed. Cheers, guys. Thank you.